I know for a fact that America would never support a country without getting anything in exchange. There's no free meals in America. None. There is a way to do it. You know, you can't just cut and go. You have to be strategic, America.
Yes.
You have to play your game well, because you're supposed to be building bridges, remember, not enemies.
Yes.
You might need this Africa after all.
African, everyone, the spotlight is on you.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that you have all the resources.
Oh, yeah.
You're one of the richest countries in the world.
Well, it's a continent, but they misusing it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, the richest continent in the world.
But most rumors are true. You know, this is not fake news. Because I know the president's going to say, fake news. Let's chill.
What's good, family? Welcome to Chilling with the Chaplins, where culture meets conversation. I'm your boy, Coach LJ, and today we just want to talk about Trump's proposed cuts to U.S. embassies and aid in Africa. The pros and cons. What's going on, baby? What's up?
Yes, Sanbonani, our beautiful people. My name is Lady Siza, and today, yes, we are touching on this headline that's really been going on in Africa, the motherland. There are reports that our President Trump is considering shutting down U.S. embassies in Africa and also cutting foreign aid. The foreign aid part we know he's done already with U.S. aid, but now he's considering shutting down embassies. Can you imagine? Like, let that sink in. Whole embassies. What's going to happen to diplomacy? What's going to happen to foreign aid and the interactions between the countries? We are here to talk about that. So stay tuned. Let's hear it.
Yes. So how do we grasp the scope of the proposed cuts? Because let's start with the facts. Reports indicate that the Trump administration considered closing nearly 30 U.S. embassies and consulates, over half of which are in Africa. This move is part of a broader plan to cut the State Department budget by nearly 50%, aiming to reduce foreign aid by approximately 75%.
This administration hates Africa. I think they have a hate for brown and black people, to be honest.
For
because
sure.
Why such a big focus on Africa when Africa has been one of the countries they've been importing from? You know, they had such good trade deals with Africa, but all of a sudden he's cutting this, cutting that from Africa. But this is the thing. Reports from credible sources like the Financial Times and Politico, they say that there is actually a draft executive order that's floating around, that's been leaked, thank you leakers, around the Trump's camp, okay? And it suggests that closing multiple U.S. embassies in Africa will actually will reduce diplomatic presence and slash foreign aid programs. That's the truth, and that's why they're trying to deny it. But guess what? The draft is already been leaked. So that's why we're talking about it. Because what if this is really true? You know? And chances are it is, because these leakers, they leak the right things.
Yes. So, you know, that is significant for many African nations, because these are not just diplomatic centers, but also hub for aid programs, educational changes, and cultural ties to potential closures could disrupt these vital connections. That's
true, because the majority of the diplomatic relations that they have, in some countries, like a country like Lesotho, which is a very small country, South Sudan, Central African Republic, that really are, in worse conditions, they rely on American and diplomatic support. I'm not saying as an American and South African citizen or African citizen that they shouldn't cut these ties so that they are that they're supporting these African countries. All I'm saying is I know for a fact that America would never support a country without getting anything in exchange. There's no free meals in America. None, zero. So if they think this is a good move, then them cutting these embassies and these consulates, well, good for them. But I know that it's going to affect, the whole diplomatic relationship with these other countries, especially these African countries that they are actually eyeing. And I know South Africa is one of them because we know our Mr. Elon. I don't know what he said to Mr. Trump, but it ain't good. And Trump ain't liking South Africa at this point in time. But you could see that even with the trade deals that's happening, the tariffs that he's been putting up on mostly these African countries, they're really high. And he knows that because of the dollar exchange rate, these countries cannot afford that. And it could potentially put them on their knees when it comes to trading with the U.S. And it could also potentially close down those relationships.
Wow, your diplomacy studies is coming out. I love it. I love it. So, baby, let us know how to recognize the potential consequences and why people are worrying.
Well, there's a lot of negatives to this, and like you said, it's mostly coming with diplomacy. Like majority of the countries that are reliant on U.S. aids, for example. Let's just start with the aids. The U.S. programs that they were extending to the third world countries. Programs like HIV and AIDS, I think we mentioned this in the USAID situation, where malaria prevention, basic education. The United States, yes, has been extending a hand to certain countries in Africa and in projects that were assisting in those programs. So when they shut those things down, we know that lives will be lost, unfortunately. But I feel like as a con, this will, make the African countries get up from sleep.
Yes.
Stop misusing funds, because Africa is a very rich continent.
Yes, it is.
And it being rich, it means that it has the resources to sustain its people. So if America decides to close down and shut down, then maybe this is a wake-up call for Africa to get up and start taking care of its own. Because yes, America is not here to feed the whole world, but when it comes to diplomatic side, because like I said before, they get.
Yes.
There's gonna be, of course, a drift that's gonna happen. There's gonna be a gap that's gonna open. And guess who's looking to come in and is already coming in? China and Russia. They're already making inroads in Africa. And if America backs away, then China and Russia will come in. And China and Africa, China and Russia will not just take a continent, or even a country that they feel that they won't benefit from. So they see the benefits. So that's why they're making inroads at this point in time. I feel like that's the main thing that's going to mess it up. And of course, if there's no consulate, there's no embassy, where are we going to apply to come get visas to come visit the country? It's going to mess up even the tourism within America, because not everybody in Africa is poor.
No.
Just like not everybody in America is rich.
Yes.
So they're losing the balance.
Yeah, that's definitely heartbreaking. Additionally, dismantling major aid agencies has led to the shutdown of essential programs such as food kitchens in Sudan, highlighting the dire consequences of these funding cuts.
Yeah, it's a valid point. However, we must be really strategic when we talk about these things, because if they decide to withdraw, that's their prerogative. And I know that President Trump has said that they're putting America first. Fair enough. Every country would love to have their citizens being put first, because they feel like them supporting other countries is making America, outstretch themselves. They're doing too much for others when in their home country things are not that great. There's been a lot of cuts for American citizens, that are beneficial, especially for people who are living below the poverty line, who are not doing so great. The middle class, they're really suffering in this country. So if America decides that in order for us to support our middle class and our lower class, we're going to cut out funding from outside the rest of the world, why not? But there is a way to do it. You can't just cut and go. You have to be strategic, America.
Yes.
You have to play your game well, because you're supposed to be building bridges, remember, not enemies.
Yes.
You might need this Africa after all, because they've been supporting you in a lot of things in the past. So you don't just shut them out. Work out a way, that's going to be beneficial for both parties.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely. It's time for Africa to get out, to wake up. they've been too reliant on these first world countries, the West and the East, and that's why they've been used and abused. So Africa, Vugani, wake up.
Wake up, wake up. So how do we explore potential opportunities amidst challenges?
Well, one of the things is, remember, when let's not forget that when they're cutting these embassies, it will definitely weaken diplomacy. And we don't want diplomacy. Well, no, let me not say we don't, but weakening diplomacy can damage relationships in the long term. Yes, Trump might think that it's a good thing right now for these 4 years putting America first, but the world is now very small, you know, and we live in this global world now where it's dangerous to be in silo, and I feel like President Trump is trying to make America to be in silo. You know, he's trying to isolate the rest of the world.
And be a dictator.
And be a dictator. I just recently heard.
What?
Instead of the Congress wearing the American pin,
yes,
they're wearing Trump's head.
What?
I'm gonna post it right on this. Look at this picture. Trump's head as their pin. So now we are really slowly moving towards being a dictator country, you know, because guess what's going to happen as well?
Well, he want to remove the presidency where you don't vote for another president. It's like he able to pass it on to his children. So basically, that's what he's trying to get to. He's trying to because this democracy, I mean, they do need to fix it because 4 years is not enough time to correct things. Because it seems like every time, you know, you only got 2 years to put in your stuff, and in the next 2 years, you're running for your re-election.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really put your things in place.
So what would you think would be an adequate time? Because
I think they do need more time. I think they do.
Nah, but too much time can be too much as well.
I think the people should have a vote. I think they should have a say.
Or not do your campaign for 2 years. I think America is the only country that has a 2-year running campaign for presidency.
Yeah, because the first 2 years you're putting your stuff in, and then the next 2 years you actually campaign. So you're not really having the time to put it in. And then if you lose and the other party come in, all that stuff. So it's not like. It's like a back and forth thing. It's not sustainable, and because
especially if you don't have the Congress on your side. And
it's not sustainable, and you put your stuff in, and then the next party come in and they put their stuff, and they remove your stuff. So it's not really, you're not really progressive. You're not progressive because the party's not working together. They're not building. They're not putting. Okay, you know what? Because neither party have wrong policies sometimes. They both policies have both parties have good policies sometimes. So you got to learn how
There's
to
pros
work.
and cons to both.
Exactly. So you got to learn how to work with both of them, because if you come in and you're trying to just remove everything that person has done, then we're not going anywhere. And this is why China is progressive, because they don't have a running presidency every 4 years.
Well, that's actually questionable, and I don't want to emphasize on that because China is at another level, okay, of autocracy, and we don't want America to get to that. Okay?
Yeah, we don't want that, but
we love being a democratic country where we are able to elect our leaders, and not being dictated to. Because yes, there is a pro to having long-term leadership. But what if the leadership sucks, like in what is it, North Korea?
Why you still have a chance to vote every 4 years, but it shouldn't be like.
Cut it off.
That person should be able to run next 4 years. But
then remember, politics is politics. They will make a way where they continue to run. Africa is a good example, guys.
Okay.
Where there are no limits in some countries. Some countries do have limits, like South Africa. I think they have terms. But there are countries that don't have limits to presidency. And that's very risky. That's why you end up having a president running for a whole 30 years, 50 years, because power is nice.
Yes, power
Nobody
is nice.
wants to let go of power. Hence, Trump, as a billionaire, still wants to be president because of that power, you know? So let's not fool ourselves. It's good to have the checks and balances. It's good to have
good. I agree with you.
Fresh blood, fresh brains coming in, change of people, because once you have the same person, they get comfortable, and they think that's their country. They think they own the country as a business, like how our president is right now.
I agree. You want checks and balances, but you also you gotta be able to work with one another. You know, you gotta be able to because every 4 years, if a new party come in, you change the things. You're not progressing. I'm sorry, Democratic, Republican. If Democratic come in the next 4 years and you just wipe everything out, and you're not just making changes or improving on what the last party done, then we not winning. We're not winning.
Back to the topic.
So here's the thing: all the challenges are evident because there's a lot of challenges that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Could there be a silver lining?
I hope so, because like America is looking at this as just money, a money issue. Okay, there's actually more,
and that's why Trump won, because of the money issue.
It's a money issue for him. It's business, because he's treating the country as a business.
Yes.
But remember, the honest fact is, yes, a country can be treated as a business, but not completely. It's not a cooperation, right? It has people who have social needs as well. Remember, in a company or a business, you can only go so far with social needs, Okay, now there's where I'm trying to get to. If America pulls away, it will signal to the world, or even Africa, because that's their priority list, to cut those away, that Africa don't matter. And then
America First policy.
It will be them, which is a good idea.
Some folks see it as Africa last.
And that's why we know from the past that our current president has called Africa, a whole country, and yes, this raises a lot of arguments to say that why is he targeting Africa this much? Is Africa that bad to him, or is it just because the people that live in that continent, he just doesn't like their skin color? Because why is he fighting them so much? Like, he's taking away so much from this continent, as if this continent has not given to this country.
But you know what, though? The crazy part is, because we are so creative, right? The more you... I think he's doing us a favor, because this is when we are more creative. When we are in the fight. When we do have a lot of black people. Because we are creative. We built countries. We built country with sweat equity. So, but this is when we have a lot of diversity, adversity. When we have a lot of adversity, this is when our back is against the wall. This is when we most creative. This is when we work together. So I don't know what he have against black people, or brown people, whatever. But I think sometimes it could be a blessing.
Well, I feel like, Africa, this is your chance to be self-reliant. Get off your backsides and start working for your people. Because maybe if we have less foreign dependency and more local innovation, that will empower your people and your country.
But too, sometimes, your flaws come out even bigger, because we know, sometimes a lot of African countries do have a lot of fraud. Corruption. There's corruption
everywhere in the world.
But it's
everywhere.
I know.
Just that some countries are better hiding it than others.
Yes.
And of course, others take more than others. Yes, Africa is known to have greedy leaders. That's not a lie. That's not even, something that we can shy from. But there's fraud everywhere. There's corruption everywhere. And we should stop pointing these fingers to this Africa as if they're the only one that's corrupt. All we could do is say, maybe this is a wake-up call to say, hey, get off your feet, do it like other. There's a president that's President Traoré, I believe his name is, young military president in Africa, who's fighting for his people, who's removing countries that are trying to feed off its people for nothing in return. So we're praying that we have more African leaders who can do the same, fight for their people.
And that's what it's about, fighting for your people. Again, so what's next? What's next?
So this is just rumors, right? Because like we said, it's a leaked document that's running around there. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but we do know that there are a couple of countries that are being looked at, and South Africa is one of them. And but remember, reducing U.S. presence could create a vacuum.
And that's what it's about.
Right? That other global powers will fill in. Not might, will fill in.
Yeah, like China.
Russia.
Yes.
They are not sleeping on Africa.
Yes.
And And this is definitely going to shift geopolitical dynamics.
See, China and Russia see the value in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
They see it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why they're trying to come in. But here's the game, though. Africa, everyone, the spotlight is on you. Yeah. Because everyone knows that you have all the resources.
Oh, yeah.
You're one of the richest countries in the world.
Well, it's a continent. But they misusing it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, the richest continent in the world. Okay, you're one of the richest continent in the world, and everyone know it. You know, and so everyone.
The second largest.
And the second largest. So, and everyone know that Africa, the richest continent in the world, with tons of resources.
I don't know this thing about Americans thinking Africa is a country. It boggles my mind. Don't you learn geography? Because seriously. How can a whole continent be reduced to a country?
I know. I'm saying, I don't know, I guess. But I'm saying,
help me understand.
I'm sorry. Yes, but you know what I mean. I meant continent. I know Africa is a continent.
I don't know.
Yes, I know Africa is a continent. I know that.
You went through the American system. Yes, I don't know.
No. I know Africa is a continent. A lot of resources, majority of the resources, where they don't really need other countries because they have most of the resources. So, and everyone sees the value. But it's like Africa, we need to awake out of sleep and see that we do have value and begin to work together instead of allowing these countries to come in and put their stake in the ground.
Absolutely. We're actually talking, we're calling for balance. You know, we're not saying don't put your country first, America.
Yes.
Put your country first. Yes, that's the best thing to do. But don't just slash and burn. Don't just run. Don't burn bridges. Build bridges. Listen to African voices. Don't overlook them and let them feel as if they don't matter. This move of cutting the embassies, it could be harmful.
Yes.
You know, even not just for Africa alone, but other countries, European countries or Asian countries may feel like we are next in the chopping block, right? And it will definitely isolate America.
Africa.
Investment over isolation. That's the key. Investment over isolation. So America, here's an urge. Reassess this. And maybe that's why you have not put it out there as an official executive order. Investment over isolation.
Yes, I agree. So how do we advocate for balanced and exclusive policies?
Advocacy is key. Like, I think that's what we're also just talking about right now. Engaging policymakers, raising awareness, and participating in dialogues like we're doing right now. Getting people to understand that no country can live in silo, right? I wish that a Trump administration understood this part because I think it goes over their head that other countries are not really after your resources. Yes, your resources have come in handy in the past and they've been useful, but let's build relationships and not enemies. Why is this administration trying to build so many enemies? Why? So let's start there. Collaborate with other countries and not exclude Africa, like you collaborating with other continents as well.
Yeah, so, you know, and that's what it's about, is, you know, but stay informed and also continue to engage. Continue to plug into Chilling with the Chaplins, where we give you the download, and, you know, continue to plug in so that we able to continue to talk about these complex issues with far-reaching implications.
So share with us your thoughts, your experiences, your ideas about this issue. What if it comes to pass? What if this really is a thing? You know, yes, right now we are taking it from a room, but most rumors are true, you know? This is not fake news. Because I know the president's going to say, fake news. It could not be fake news. What if it is true? So let's build instead of breaking each other. Well, let's continue this conversation. Like we said, share your thoughts, your experiences, your ideas. Together, we can navigate these challenges and work towards a brighter future for all of us, not just Africa, but for every continent.
And culture. Yes, and so you've been chilling with the Chaplins. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and remain global. Until next time, we'll see you. You know what we're going to say? Deuces. Peace.